this is just a quick one for Jack Ketchum's Girl Next Door. My first review was a little bit long-winded, not gonna lie. It was 18 minutes long, and it was straight after finishing the audiobook, which was probably a big mistake on my behalf because it was still pretty raw for me. So emotionally, I was kind of blubbering, babbling, kind of a mix of every horrible emotion you could imagine. Long and short of the story, it follows two sisters from the perspective of a boy named David, and he ends up befriending the main girl, Meg, and it follows everything that she went through and her sister Susan whilst living at the house of, I think it was her Aunt Ruth, with her two boys, Willie, Woofer, and Donny. And it wasn't an easy audiobook. I don't know what possessed me to think that it would be easier to listen to the story rather than read it. It actually made it 20 times worse because it made it more visually out there. So I saw every detail of the room, I saw everything that was being done to Meg, and I guess it made it that much worse knowing that it's based on a true story as well. So it definitely rips at the heartstrings when you realise the intensity of the story. I really do like the book. However, I won't be revisiting it anytime soon. It is very hard going. As somebody who likes extreme horror, that's hard for me to say. I mean, I read Daniel Volpe and Carver Pike, and also, I've got Clive Barker down as my favourite author. So for something to rattle me as much as it did, it takes a lot. It was a very detailed, very well-written story. The characters were definitely, they pulled you in. The first person perspective made it, I think, a little bit worse because you're reliving David's memories and you're also going through his emotions at the same time, which in this case is the emotions of a child. So as you can imagine, it was I think it was worse because it wasn't just an adult that was initiating the torture and the abuse of Meg. It was the kids that were actually involved in it as well. And that's what made it worse. The fact that she dehumanized Meg to the extent that she did. And the fact that I don't know what it was, whether it was the case that you could tell this woman had basically nothing but bitterness and regret left in herself, and she was just drinking herself into a hole, regretting having 3 lads. And then she was seeing this smart, caring, beautiful young woman that was Meg, seeing everything that she would never be. And I think most of it stemmed from jealousy. It's as simple as that. Because even through all the abuse and everything she went through, Meg was still holding strong, and she still had fight in her. The only time that she ever backed down was when her sister was in danger, and that bond throughout the book never wavered. The fact that she would do anything to protect her sister Susan, take a beating for her sister Susan, it come to show that love that they only had each other kind of bond was there. It was still very hard to get to. For me, I think it was beyond chapter 32 that it started getting really raw, and I was starting to kind of waver a bit and debate whether or not to stop the audiobook altogether and just call it a day. But when you consider that this is based on a true story, I didn't think it would be, I think you owe it to kind of acknowledge and be aware that this situation happened. And it is horrible to think that out there a poor young girl went through all this kind of abuse, torture, dehumanization, humiliation. They ripped her identity from her, and the same was done to Meg, and I don't think anyone should ever experience that. I will leave a link in the comments to the original article of the original victim that Meg is based on in Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door, just to kind of push on the awareness, because it is horrible to think that this story is based on true events. But I think Ketchum did a really good job at portraying it over. He didn't go overboard like some writers do. They do shock value for shock value's sake, and that there's nothing behind it other than just to cause a fuss. Ketchum did it because he wanted to put the story across. He wanted to make people realise how horrible it truly was, and that no one should get away with causing this much abuse and damage to a child. And I completely agree. It's definitely a book that is one that you would have to read in your lifetime, but I'm not going to be revisiting it anytime soon. It's emotionally draining and strangely physically draining. I felt hella fatigued after going through that book, but I don't regret reading it. It definitely opened my eyes to a lot of things. And like I say, it's definitely made me want to read more of Ketchum's work, because he has this respect, definitely, that I like to see in writers, especially when it comes to such a sensitive subject. He did it really well. I have written my full review with how I was feeling straight after the whole situation of listening to the audio. That is on my Goodreads, Amazon, and also my page. I did leave a snippet of how emotional I got on my Instagram, just to give you an idea of why I deleted the original footage and decided to go with this instead. Yes, I'm still in my comfies, but I didn't really feel like it was respectful to doll up for something as a sensitive subject such as what the book covers. I will be back with another review, which will be Ashley Lister's Fearless. I'm going to do a quick video review on that one as well. But other than that, guys, stay safe and, be kind to one another. Have a good night.